All right, I'm here in the studio with my friend Michael Sandow. Mike, a.k.a. Sandy Two Sticks.
That's me.
It's good to see you, dude. So thanks for coming on the podcast. Got you in the studio. Been looking forward to sitting down with you and just having one of our many conversations that we have here on the podcast.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so right on, man. We'll go ahead and I don't know, introduce yourself, man. Tell us a little bit about what what brought you to Arkansas and all that.
Okay. Well, I lived in California for 30 years, 21 in in the Bay, 10 in LA, where I worked in the film business for about 10 years. Always wanted to be in that business. That's where you have to move if you want to be in that business. I had family in that industry that I knew I'd be able to get in a little easier than other people because it's kind of a hard industry to break into. So I went to film school and...
Where did you go to film school?
LA Film School.
Cool. If there would have been anything like that around here, I took a couple of film classes in college, and it's a super fascination of mine.
It's awesome.
That's why one of the reasons why I want a podcast to do videos for the gym and stuff is because, and I did that in college and things too. It's just I love doing it.
Well, the program that they really need to do more of that kind of stuff. It's not like a theory type program, which I couldn't care less about that kind of stuff. I wanted something that was really hands-on and intense because that's the kind of person I am, really visual. And from the get-go, this is kind of how they frame their school. It's like we put a camera in your hands right off the bat, first day, and you just learn very hands-on basic stuff versus like, okay, we're going to get you into film theory and then introduction to, like, I didn't want any of that stuff that you learn at USC and the stuff that...
That was always my fascination was USC.
See, I just don't have the capacity up there for that. We're all wired kind of different, and I just...
Yeah, I mean, why I have the fascination, I feel like it's like the Ivy League of film schools, Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's an accurate statement, but I don't know any other film schools out there that are... is well known. Yeah. I mean, for me being like in high school, getting out of high school. So did you do any theater, any acting, anything in high school?
I didn't do a whole lot of that, except at my senior year, there was I can't even remember what it was called now, but they kind of made a class. I believe it was my junior year. It was a film kind of based class that you'd work with some of the drama students. I never did drama.
I did drama all through high school.
Man, I just, I always wanted to do that because I'm kind of a clown, but it was kind of terrifying in a way.
I couldn't imagine doing it in a bigger high. I had a small there was it was a good program, but like I couldn't imagine doing it in like a bigger high school than I was in,
Right.
I was actually, I did a little bit of technical direction work.
Well, see, that's awesome.
It was cool. I didn't do very much lighting and very much audio. That's been what I've tried to learn more about. Mm-hmm. I've been talking about you on the podcast because you lit the room, and
looks great.
Yeah,
by the
thanks
way.
so much,
looks
guy.
Great.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you helping me out with the podcast because as I talked to you about it for a super long time. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and you helped me kind of set up some things in the room. So, muchas gracias.
My pleasure. That is a pleasure, that kind of stuff. I really enjoy lighting and geeking out on that kind of stuff.
I know. I'm going to have my the guy that I was with the director when I was in high school and is now the technical director for Russellville here. And he's like, he used to teach me guitar. His name's Dan Stahl.
Oh, he's not a young guy?
He's like, I don't know, 40-ish.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, he was just getting started in his teaching when I got to high school, so he was a big influence on me. And I talked to him about coming on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to having him on. But he is a theater guy through and through. He had his own production company at one point. So, have you done anything other than film? You did. Like early on, did you do any acting or anything as a childhood actor?
No, nothing like that. I just always had a camera in my hand from the time that, once I got to be a teenager, I really wanted to do video stuff. And I wanted to be a cinematographer from a young age. I didn't really know what that meant, but I did know that they had a hand in making the movie look beautiful. I didn't know what that meant, and once I learned what it meant, I thought it was overwhelming because you have a lot of.
It's a lot less glamorous than it sounds, I'm sure.
Well, it's awesome, but man, it's not just. You need to. You're in control of all these different departments. You're in control of set lighting, grips, and camera. So it's like it's a position of power where you need to. It's not just the craft of it. You need to be able to know how to say this is what I need to get done, and that's hard for some people. That's not really my personality. To be like telling people this is what needs to get done, I need this to get done. I was much better at being a camera assistant, which is what I was for 10 years. To say, hey, Mike, we need you to do this. You got it.
Would you consider that to be like like you were working as an apprentice, basically? I mean, the people that you were working under that were, you were assisting, they had been in the game like 10 years longer than you?
Well, I mean, there were some people in the game for decades, I mean, as far as an apprentice, that's how you start out. You start out as you get paid minimum wage, whatever that is, and you just pay your dues for however long until somebody is ready to say, hey, you did a great job on that movie. We'd like you to have you on this movie. Only this time we're going to give you a position where you're going to get paid for real and all that kind of stuff. So
you got to climb to the top. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was trying to get at a second ago. Is that there's a lot of politics involved, and man, I just didn't know how to play that game. Still don't know if I really know how. And I was into a lot of stupid stuff. I really, if you want to get in the film business at an early age, you need to be focused. You need to be screwing up as little as possible. I was just not ready for prime time. Really, that's the truth.
I mean, I think it would. I just to speculate, because I mean, I've been to Southern California several times, but definitely not born and raised there like yourself. But I mean, this is a hot topic in the Red Scare eras of American history and now. But the Hollywood lifestyle, that is a different grind altogether, as I perceive it. Like, what would you say about that? I mean, because you kind of, I guess, grew up in that, man. I mean, more or less. Like, how old were you when you were going out to Hollywood for the first time?
Man, well, I have an uncle that is a film producer. And he's kind of a big deal.
He is. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Because we're going to talk about... if you don't mind, I got you. Because here's how I found out about. I knew that you had filmed some. I knew that you'd filmed some movies, just like what we're talking about right now. And I was like, well, that's cool. I heard.
I don't know how you knew that. Well,
somebody vaguely, maybe Michael or someone told me that you had just worked in the film business, California. I mean, which is just totally. I mean, I'm like, and that's a very broad thing. And I mean, and then I was like, well, cool, and I was friends with you on Facebook, and I typed your name in to see what you worked on or something, and the first thing that came up, it was
Beach Bridges. No, that's you got.
No, that I got later into that.
Yeah.
But it was fun trivia. Jerry Bruckheimer's nephew,
right.
Movie producer, and some of the movies that I think you worked as camera assistant on were some films that he was involved with as producer or director or both. But that, so I was like, whoa, that's cool. And obviously I was just interested when I heard that you were in the film business because like I said, I have an interest. I actually wrote my when you're a senior in high school and you have to write these it's like a senior paper. Mm-hmm. I don't even know what it's called. Mm-hmm. I had to do it when I was an undergraduate in college. I had to do a master's thesis. It just gets bigger every time, but it's like your senior term paper. Mm-hmm. And I wrote it on the history of film.
Which is you mean the very beginning, starting with all
Yeah,
these?
It was like a encyclopedia article type. It was just a very basic overview,
Right. But the genealogy from this to now we have this where nothing's even real, CGI, all
well,
that.
see, at that time, we weren't even that evolved because I was getting out of high school in like '06. I mean, but yeah, I did skirt on some of that for sure.
Right.
Think about how far we've come in that time.
Well, you know what? I used to be against some of that, but man, if they're able to use that as a tool and tell a story, then I'm all for it because that's all it is storytelling.
I agree.
But it used to be like the same thing with film dying because film was big. I was one of maybe the last generation to be trained with these film cameras that were around for decades. And then right when I was coming in, film goes bye-bye. And it was one of those things that was like, no, I don't want film to go bye-bye. But then when it did go bye-bye, it was way easier. So then I'm thinking, it's like, why was I holding on to the film thing? It was almost just like an ego thing. I work with film.
Dude, I can't even keep track of the like digital quality anymore. It's like, you want 100,000p?
I know. Well, you know what? I have an opinion on that.
XD.
I think a lot of that is just marketing.
I do too, dude. I got an HD
Nobody
camera.
knows what the P means. The 1080p. Do you know what the P stands for?
No.
Right. There you go.
What's it stand for?
Progressive. You know, and I kind of understand what that means. Not really. It's better. Progressive is better.
Progressive is better.
So that's marketing. That's unbelievable. 4K.
Yeah,
don't you
have, isn't your camera 4K?
Yeah.
It's noticeably better than mine.
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of factors there.
Well, yeah, I mean, this camera in here is good. I did shoot some video of it at the gym and stuff, but I didn't really try to like light it or put any effort into it other than to put it on the tripod.
Well, and that's the key.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're friends.
Yeah. So you asked us, there was a question in there, and we stepped on it.
We were just talking. We're talking about Hollywood.
Yeah,
we're talking about that lifestyle. And like how old were you the first time that you went there? And
that's right.
What was that like for you?
Well, I grew up in that. You know, I grew up with this uncle that had been producing film since before I was born. So, you know, we would go and visit Linda and Jerry, his wife, who was actually my real aunt, my mom's sister. Jerry's not actually blood.
Too bad.
So yeah, there's no real talent there.
I'm not. I wasn't let down when I heard that. He's
but you
still your uncle.
I remember when you found that out, and you were a little bit crushed, and I could see
I might have brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm still highly impressed. You know, a really good friend of mine, he's going to come on the podcast. He was on. He brought Flavio over, and Flavio just talked to us, blowing our minds about jiu-jitsu for an hour. But, dude, he loves National Treasure. Like, so much.
Yeah, you told me that.
And when I told him you worked on National Treasure too, he was like, no way. Oh. And I was like, yeah, dude, I know him. He's my friend. We talk.
Yeah, well, I'd be happy to assign.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, some memorabilia.
Yeah.
That would make his day. He's I don't know if he listens to the podcast. I kind of feel like he doesn't, but I may see if I can do something like a gift for him. This guy was in my wedding. He's my coach. He's my bro. So
we'll get Ed Harris to sign something.
Yeah, Ed Harris, man, what a great actor.
He's good.
You ever seen Enemy at the Gates?
You know what? I love that film.
It's so good.
I think that if he wasn't the villain, then
Vasily Zaitsev.
I just love it so much. I love.
Was it Rachel Weisz?
Weisz, however you want to say it. Love that film. Just watched it in the last year.
I need to rewatch it. It's so good. How he draws him out in the end.
I know. And the poor boy Sasha. You know, but if you want to play that game, you know, if you want to shake hands with the devil.
Man, that story is are they in Stalingrad or Leningrad? They're in Stalingrad.
Stalin, yeah.
That was years long. What you saw was years long.
Right, and I guess they kind of show that how they do kind of show that through. I don't know how they do that in the storytelling, but you get the impression that it's years long. I didn't know that personally, but
yeah. Well, the actual siege in World War II, and that's one of the things, man. Like, that's what sunk Napoleon when he tried to invade Russia. He was fighting this coalition of European nations and England at the same time, and tried to invade Russia in the winter, and just sunk him.
It's not a good plan to do it.
Not a good plan. Actually, I believe burned Moscow to the ground. I'm actually going to be getting into the French Revolution here pretty soon in my class, and I took a class on that, and I'm very excited to be lecturing about it.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
It's over my head. It's above my pay grade.
So, so you grew up in that, so you, like, your mom was involved in film too? I don't know how I found that out. Maybe on the IMDb.
Yeah, you saw
I don't know.
her IMDb.
I was creeping.
Well,
Sandy, you Aquarius,
yeah.
nephew of Jerry Bruckheimer. That's what it. Did you know? You got 3 pieces right here. Trivia
It says
nicknames.
Aquarius?
Yeah, are you an
Oh.
Aquarius?
Well, yeah.
Probably just has your birthday and generates your sign just for trivia
Yeah,
facts.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mom was in Nash Bridges. She got her start on The Rock, which was...
With Ed Harris?
That's right.
And Sean Connery?
That's right.
And Nicolas Cage?
And you know what? I got to go to
That's
that
such
set.
a good movie, dude.
Yeah, it is. It is.
My buddy Drew was going to be excited to hear that because he loves that film.
Man,
The Rock.
you know what? That's a really corny film, but I love it.
It's good. They should make more movies like that.
I agree, but yeah, they just, I don't know why that era just is kind of
It was a
dead.
nicely balanced cast. I thought they didn't overdo it. I like the backstory. Sean Connery's the man. Other than that part about him saying it's okay to hit women. Just give him a slap.
I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah, I should look it up, dude. Yeah,
remember that.
and then somebody asked him about it, and he, like, doubled down on it, like, multiple times.
Oh, you mean in real life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sean Connery,
Yes, I
the
remember.
man,
Okay.
likes to slap women if they give him too much,
Yeah, I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about in the movie there, and I didn't recall.
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
no,
he's
no.
got some issues, but we all kind of
don't we all?
Yeah.
Okay, so your mom's in Nash Bridges.
Yeah.
What?
She got her start with that. My mom wanted to be a film actor.
I watched that film or that show all the time when I was a kid.
Nash Bridges?
Yeah, I believe it came on like a couple hours before Walker, Texas Ranger.
Mm-hmm. That was a really good, it's a really popular show. I wasn't crazy about it, but I don't know. I'm not really crazy about those
I was
cop
like a
shows.
kid at the time, so like it was good for like I was interested at the time because of my age more than anything, and like when I got into my teenage years, I got less and less interested,
Yeah.
and then I got kind of re-interested in my 20s early, and then I was like, I'm just seen it all.
Yeah. Well, Mom was on that show for 7 years as
Well-
an extra.
Oh, okay.
Because that's a good story right there. It's not a story, but my mom wanted to be, she wanted to have lines. She wanted to be,
Mm-hmm.
she wanted to, climb up to the top. She wanted to be somebody. And, she was on that show, paid her dues for 7 years. And I don't know if she barely got a line. She's in the Screen Actors Guild. It's just hard. And it's the same thing like I was talking about before. It's the politics. You have to be willing to put yourself before other people. That's how that game works. And man,
I mean, do you think like taking creative risk is part of it too? I mean, like,
well, if you're at that level, which is a lower level, being an extra, they
Yeah.
really get treated very poorly too. By the way, it's
did
kind
she
of
have
rough.
like a manager or anything like that?
Not a manager, but if you're in SAG and you want to get any work, you're going to have an agent. But no,
Yeah, that's a better agent.
well, a lot of them have both real film act. Real. I didn't mean to put my mom down. She's a real actor.
yeah,
You know,
dude, she was in movies with Robin Williams.
that's a fact.
What all? Like, I thought she was just in Patch Adams, and then you said that she's in like 2 or 3 more.
She was in a lot of the films that were shot there in San Francisco. So there's Flubber, Bicentennial Man, and Patch Adams, and there might be another one.
All legit.
There are others, but I can't remember. But that's how it works. It's like casting call goes out in San Francisco. There's not
Yeah,
too
I
many
had no
actors
idea
there.
about The Rock, man. That's
The
super
Rock,
cool.
Yep, and others.
Okay, so also, you worked on just when I got to your page, and I was like, I was just like, oh, National Treasure, oh yeah, but Con Air and Armageddon and Gone in 60 Seconds, like, what's the story with those? Because I think all 3 of those in the movie theater when I was a kid between 97 and 2000.
Yeah.
I was born in 87, so between 10 to 13. So,
yeah, that's right.
And I want to say that I was getting sold R-rated movie tickets during that time without apparent parental consent.
Which is inappropriate.
It's wrong.
It's outrageous.
Can't believe it.
What the story there is, I have to give it just a tiny bit of backstory, but it's going
Lay
to
it
be
on
all
it.
worth it in the end.
So how old are you during this time, 98 to...
That one, Con Air was the first film that I worked on, that I was, really graced the...
stage.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. I was 12 years old, and it was...
Are we the same age?
I'm probably a little older than you. I
Okay.
think you're 31.
I'm about to be 31.
I just turned 34.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah, so I would have been 9 or 10 at the time.
yeah, so I was 12. I would go on a road trip with Jerry's wife and my mom. We did it for 6 years in a row, where we basically fly to Kentucky and rent a car, drive all the way back home, and see all the sights and stuff on the way home. It was great. But
Kentucky's beautiful.
It's
It's
unbelievable.
a beautiful state.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time there. That's where my mom is from, and Linda Bruckheimer's from. So anyway, that's not really important. But I got too old for the road trip, hanging out with two old women. So it was actually, I believe it was Jerry's idea that said, you know what, he doesn't want to be with you guys anymore. How about when you get to Wendover, Utah, on your way back to California, I'm shooting a movie in Wendover, Utah, Con Air. Why don't you drop him off with me? Let him stay with me for a couple weeks, fly him back to L.A., something like that. And then he can get some experience on a film set, And that's what I did. He gave me a PA job, which is basically getting tea or whatever it is. It's basically you're the lowest person on the film set. And when you're 12, obviously you're not doing a whole lot. But
dude, I was that person in college, like my entire 20s, just going to get coffee and stuff for professors.
Yeah.
Or making coffee.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, alphabetizing papers.
Somebody's got to do it. So, and then Armageddon was the same thing. They went on the trip, and I got dumped off in L.A., and I got to work in the casting department that year. And then the next year I was 16. I got to work as a PA doing, it was, I had a distorted view of the film business because my uncle was Jerry Bruckheimer. So I could get away with a lot. I could get away with a lot. That's the best way of putting it. Like, being in the film business is really...
Do you, have a lot of alone time, too? Like...
What do you mean?
When you were, on
set?
On set? You just can get to free roam when you weren't doing...
Well, see, I just didn't treat it right, where a lot of the time I wouldn't be doing my job,
Because you were a kid. I mean...
Yeah.
But, that's understandable to an extent. It's
sure,
not like,
it is, but...
It's not like you didn't, very few people would, I'm sure, rise to the occasion.
Well, but it just kept, as I got to be even older, there were bad habits there. I remember I was 18 and working on... Which, 18, that's a little bit older. You're coming into adulthood and all that. And I was working on, I think it was CSI, or it might have been Without a Trace.
Okay, CSI Las Vegas. Love it. Loved it. Until they replaced William Peterson with Ted Danson.
Well, that's a new thing, right?
Well, it happened a few years ago.
I hate all those
I don't
shows.
really know about it. I don't watch cable TV anymore.
I'm surprised that people like those shows so much and that there's 3 or 4 CSIs.
There was I don't even know.
Yeah.
And then I feel like CSI Las Vegas pioneered a genre of these
kind of did
crime
right?
shows.
Yeah, NCIS and then Criminal Minds and Criminal blah blah blah. Yeah. I don't like it. I like cop shows if they're good, like The Wire.
Hadn't seen it.
Oh.
That's on Amazon Prime, right?
That's an HBO show, and that is
it is.
one
Yeah,
of the best
yeah.
shows.
Multiple people have suggested that to me. I should
That's
check it out.
unbelievable. But
dude, I would love to have you back on the podcast since we were just talking about some shows that we are mutually interested in, and then too, you turned me on to Man in the High Castle and Sneaky Pete. But we have a mutual interest for television and film, and you have referred me to some good things, and hopefully, I've referred you.
You have. Well, actually, I thought it was either you or Cora that told me about Lawless. I'm sorry, Godless.
Yeah. It's
Wow,
good.
very
It's good.
And then there have been others.
You've told me about several though.
Yeah.
Did you have you seen that Billy Bob Thornton one on Amazon Prime? What is it called?
Oh.
Yeah? Yeah?
I love that.
What's it called?
Goliath.
How many seasons?
I thought there was only one. They ended that the way, I don't see how they could do other seasons.
Yeah, Godless, same thing. It's like a one season run. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too because it's over, and I don't know. That's what they did with True Detective. Number 1 was so good, season 1, and then season 2 was this different thing.
They're doing season 3 in Northwest Arkansas.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're filming right now.
I didn't know that, but I would be excited to see it because I don't know. I thought the second
season was kind of a letdown.
It was just dark, you know, and you don't like the characters, and that's the thing. You like Marty and what was his name? Rust. You like those guys. They're broken people, but there's something about them, and that's why you're watching the show. It's not really about, well, it is. It's a combination, but man, if you don't like the characters,
man,
why am I watching?
HBO just does it so good.
Yeah, they do.
That
except for season 2. They didn't do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just in general, like, I love what they put out. I started watching this documentary on the Little Rock Nine. It was really more about Little Rock Central 50 years after the Little Rock Nine. But it was pretty crazy.
I don't know what that is.
So, well, okay, so we had this governor in Arkansas named Orville Faubus, and he was a racist. And he didn't want the schools to be integrated. He wanted segregation to continue, and the National Guard had to end up coming in.
That's from Forrest Gump, right?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
That was in
Mobile, but that was probably going on everywhere.
Yeah, it's that same situation.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So, but yeah, the Little Rock Nine. Anybody that wants to look into it can Google it, the Little Rock Nine. It'll come up. But it's just kind of part of the civil rights struggle, which I've been digging super deep into LBJ. And then I kind of got like off on this weird conspiracy tangent. I was like texting one of my professor mentors, and I'm like, dude, what do you know about this? He's like, man, that's a conspiracy. You need to realize that. I was just like, it's like, go back in this direction. But I was just like, man, it is so easy to, there's this guy that I was listening to named Roger Stone. Have you seen this Netflix documentary, Get Me Roger Stone?
No.
Well, he like worked for Nixon, and he writes all these crazy books, like super exposés. And he wrote this book about like LBJ being a really likely candidate for assassinating Kennedy, and it was making all these connections, and I was just like, oh. And then I did sit back and I looked at some of it after, and it's just like, it's a lot of it, I guess, to say hearsay. It's like, well, where's the source? It's just it's a lot of conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. It's not verifiable, and it's like how this guy was putting it to me is like, you know, it's possible that it's unknowable. You know, that you can't know, like the Kennedy assassination. In reality, it's unknowable, and people can't accept that.
They can't.
Yeah. So like, I'm not even looking into Kennedy. I'm not even really talking about Kennedy, but I'm doing this big research project over LBJ, forward 1968, the whole year, and all these events that happened. But LBJ was president in 1968. So, but I've been doing all of this research on LBJ and all of this background info. And then I keep getting off on these like side conspiracies along the way, and it's distracting. So anyway,
yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a crazy story, man. If you haven't looked into it, that politically and socially, it's at the height of the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King's assassinated. John F. Kennedy's brother, the Attorney General Robert Kennedy, RFK, is assassinated. LBJ doesn't run for re-election. All this stuff happens in Vietnam. It's horrible.
Yeah, that was a pretty intense time.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's pretty intense right now too. It's just in a different way.
Yes, indeed. Well, so what are some of the other movies you worked on, man?
Let's see. I started my career with like as a union guy, which is what everyone wants to be when you move there, is you got to be in the union because that's the only way you can work. You know, you're going to work on independent stuff, which doesn't pay well if you're not in the union. So everyone wants to get in the union. It's not easy. I got on in a little horror film called Pulse, which was garbage, but you know, it was a fun experience. They flew us out to Shreveport, put us all up in...
Yeah, Cora's first fight was in Shreveport. MMA fight. She's had several kickboxing fights. But yeah, we were just out there. That's really not recently. Very far from here.
That was actually Bossier.
Yeah, but we're like, I think did we stay in Shreveport? Where's the horseshoe?
I don't know.
Bossier City? Bossier. What a weird word.
Yeah.
You know, I am fascinated by knowing, so like all of that comes from colonization between like the French colonized this area, and like a lot of Arkansas terminology comes from our French words.
Like
Ozark.
Wachita? No, that's Indian.
Yeah. But Ozark, so like that show Ozark, which is fantastic, by the way. It's actually, it's pretty wild, man.
Didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's super wild.
Yeah, there was some pretty rough stuff when I looked at the IMDb. Like, what's the content on here?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a review on it, so you can listen to that.
Yeah, maybe I'll skip that and listen to the review.
I'm not gonna do a ton of spoilers on the review, I think, but I'm looking forward to the second season coming out whenever that happens. I didn't watch it for a while, and I kind of watched the first couple episodes and got disinterested. Went back and watched the first couple again. Got disinterested again, and finally, after like getting to like episode 4, I was just like, all right, I'm hooked.
Yeah, that's...
So, it took a minute, but it was good. Like, I got super hooked in, and anyway. So, but Pulse isn't... So, like, did you work on the first one or the sequels?
No, we worked on the sequels. Pulse 2, Pulse 3. But the point of telling you that was that I got in on the union. I kind of skated through. And then once I did that, I mean, it was kind of like the door was open. It became very easy because of that whole business is built on nepotism or just who you know. So I happen to have this unbelievable connection.
Which I feel like, I mean, you didn't really rely on it too much. I mean, it's like for like in your career, because, I mean, based off some of our conversation in the past, it's like, it would seem like and I try not to play my cards, honestly. Like, I never want to be like, hey, I know this guy, and that's why I should get this, you know? But, so, like, I don't feel like I think that people would assume in that position, you would just be, like, immediately, like, the guy behind the camera. Instead of the guy next to the guy behind the camera or whatever, that like it would be an immediate pathway to the top or whatever. Well, but it seems like you had to take the same route as everyone else, and that's very, very respectable. And, you know, very fair of your uncle or very humble of you not to be like, hey, why don't you be hooking me up more than
that's hilarious.
You know.
Well, if you're thinking, if that's your mindset, like, I deserve to do it. It's like, I don't have any experience. I'm going to be behind the camera. I need to be shooting.
You were on Armageddon.
Right. Anyway, that's just not humble. So, you know.
Yeah, well, that's good, because I'm sure a lot of people in Hollywood are not humble.
Well, yes, 100%. But, you know, when you're wanting to break in and you're 22, it's pretty ridiculous to think that I was so, you know, blessed to be handed this little, you know, peon job. It was great. I mean, I wasn't even thinking in terms of that. I'm sure people do think, well, for instance, like, I don't really know much about this, but if Steven Spielberg had a son, I believe he does, just let him direct a film. I don't know anything about that. It seems like...
Yeah. Luckily, your last name is not Sandy Bruckheimer.
Sandy Bruckheimer, yeah. Well, I believe in paying your
Michael
dues.
Bruckheimer.
I think all that is very necessary to do all that. And, you know, I was telling you earlier, this is really interesting because I abused the film business for so long.
Like, in what ways did you abuse the film business?
I didn't take it seriously as a job. No, I mean, and it's because it wasn't a serious job. I would come for, a couple of weeks. I was still in school. I'd come for 5 weeks, work on one of my uncle's shows, go back to school, go back to Fairyland. I'd go back to Fairytale Land, make believe. And then when I finally got my chance, I'm out of school. Now my life is being about a film person. I thought that the same rules were going to apply. Like, oh, this is Jerry's nephew, so you roll out the red carpet, bring him lobster and shrimp scampi. It wasn't like that anymore. It's like once I was seriously a part of the business, a part of the job that was a necessary job, like it would be hard. Well, I'll put it to you like this. When I got the movie Pirates 3, it was awesome.
At World's End.
At World's
End. I think
End.
that's the last one I saw in theaters.
This is how that worked. The guy that they loved and had trained on the second film, his name was Ryan Rakel, had to be let go because, hey, Jerry just called. His nephew's going to be on. By the way, he doesn't have any experience, and he's kind of an arrogant, just little prick. So that's the call that they get. So they're not going to, oh, that's great. Let's roll out the red carpet. It's like they hated me. And I've told people that. And I didn't think it was going to be like that. But I knew from the very start when I started prepping the show with these guys, you prep for a couple weeks before you get on the film, they hated me. They hated me so much, especially this one guy named Trevor, who was the boss of the camera department.
Do you miss him?
Well, you know what? No, I don't miss him. But I don't miss him. But everything's okay now. We made amends and all that. But man.
To Trevor.
To Trevor. I mean, they had nicknames for me, and they're not flattering. One of them was...
Sandy Two Sticks?
No. That's flattering. That's kind. That's a friend would come up with that. Theirs was Shit Bucket. That's a real thing.
Oh my God.
It started as a joke, but then it evolved, and that became my name. They would call it over the radio, and it's not, you're on a film for 5 months with these people, and that's your name.
And then do you work on them with future films with them too? Did you work on some of the same? National Treasure and Pirates, you work on some of the same people? Some of the same people, but different. Yeah. I'll just tell a funny story that I'll never forget. We were on that boat, the evil boat, the Flying Dutchman. And, that movie was shot on a soundstage, and it was intense. The first AD, who's the one that says, all right, roll camera, everyone quiet, blah, blah, blah. He would say every time, okay, bring up the wind, bring up the rain. So you're in full rain gear. Wind is unbelievable. Wow.
Pouring rain. I mean, really hard conditions. Cameras need to be covered. You're getting drenched. There's gear that needs to be protected. It's a nightmare because you're doing it 15 hours a day. So they gave me this little spot where I'm like kind of kneeling under here, and my job was to get new lenses, bring it up to when they were switching a lens. They said cut. And there was enough room for me to pop my head out like that. And I just wanted to see what was going on because it was awesome. I mean, really, there's battle scenes. There's guys fighting with swords and Keira Knightley.
Were they like, hey, shit bucket, get your head back down?
It was exactly like that. The guy, James, he looks at me and he curses. I'm not going to say that, but he says, get the F back in your rat hole. So it's funny now. But
I mean, yeah, in hindsight. But I'm sure there's a ton of people that went through the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. But,
part of it.
That was good to go through that.
That's glad. Amazing stories. That's why I wanted to have you on the podcast because just any stories we've talked about in the past. I mean,
well, I'll tell you, I have another quick one that people always enjoy. They enjoy this one, and it was really shocking. This is on the second film I did. Same position, camera PA, making minimum wage.
So do you do the?
That's a union job. You're not touching that unless you're a second AC in the film union, all the rules, blah, blah, blah. So I was doing stuff like, hey, guys, what do you need? You guys want lunch? Or, okay, you guys need a new piece of gear? I'll get it. Like, learning the gear is crucial. There's so much gear. Hey, we need the LMP 0599, okay, coming in. That kind of stuff. So, like, you're learning all the gear. You're getting sandwiches. Yeah.
Toady.
Yeah, well, you're pushing all the carts. You've got 6 gigantic carts.
Male
pushing
guy.
Around. All that stuff. There was a time I felt really comfortable. The guys started warming up to me.
Trevor and James.
No, this is a different show.
Okay.
This is Steve and Zorn and blah, blah, blah. I just got a little cocky with the guy, but I was kidding. but he didn't like it. You're constantly moving locations where you're shooting. We happened to be shooting at the Biltmore Hotel, Los Angeles, so we were shooting down a hallway somewhere, and then it was pick up your gear because we're going to go into this room. I had left a piece of expensive gear down the hall accidentally, and Steve, one of the bosses, who was a very big guy, very, like, you don't want to mess with Steve kind of guy. He looked at that piece of gear and he said, "What's this doing here? Why didn't you bring that?" And I said, I wanted to. I just thought it'd be good there or something. I said something smart. And we got into an elevator right after that, just him and I. Doors closed, and he looked at me, and he said, "You're getting pretty cocky, Mike." And he was serious. It scared me. And then the next thing he did was basically, he didn't grab my neck, but he hit my neck really hard and slammed me against the elevator.
Oh my God.
Blow! And we didn't speak for 2 weeks. It shook me to the core because no one had ever put their hands on me like that before. I mean, he could have been fired for that. I didn't say anything, but anyway, that's my story. It's like that, people are crazy in that business. You don't see your family. You're probably drinking a lot because you got a lot of money, and it's kind of a gross business, to be honest. There are a few good people, but there's a lot of bad apples there, which is why I kind of said bye-bye to that.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be. There's just that. It just seems like there would be more of an element there to be involved with things to get you disinvolved with. It would seem like it would be super hard to not get distracted.
Yeah,
it's almost like almost like politics. It's like you get into it, you're not going to be corrupt, and then you become more and more corruptible. I feel like.
Yeah, I guess that's just human nature. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but it's I think it's partially the environment, just like anything else. Like kids that grow up in a bad environment, but that's not a universal. Kids that grow up in a bad environment turn out to be great people all the time.
That's true.
But maybe in their heads they're super sick.
That's true.
So,
what else you got?
Ed Harris.
Oh.
What he was in National Treasure too.
Yep. He's an intimidating person.
I know.
Even off camera, he's...
You see that film he was in with Viggo Mortensen, Appaloosa?
Yeah, he
such a good one, dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he directed that. I think that was his first film that he directed too. I don't know if he's done any others.
He's been in so many good.
That's a great film.
Harris up.
Yeah, I believe that's right. I could be wrong. It's happened before.
Yeah, that's cool. Ed Harris, he's the man. He's getting old too.
Yeah, he's got one of those. He's got one of those faces and just, I guess, structures that it's.
The Truman Show.
It's totally cool to be bald.
The Abyss, man, that's a classic. You ever see The Abyss?
Yeah, I've seen The Abyss.
I've seen it in a long time. I need to rewatch it though. Anyway. Yeah, it's got to be cool to work on set with some of these people though. Like the other day, I was Mel Gibson like tweeted or Facebooked like him in the studio with Mel Gibson, and he's like, interview a lot of people and stuff, but it's still super weird sitting here talking to Mel Gibson.
Who, Ed Harris said that?
No, Joe Rogan. But it's got to be kind of like people that like you see Enemy at the Gates, and the next thing you know, you're on set with the guy or something like that,
Right.
It's got to be surreal to an extent.
Yeah. It is in a way, because you grow up, they're
your heroes, I guess, right?
They can be, absolutely. But
Yeah.
that's all just a facade. I mean, they're just, most of the time, their lives are
people.
broken, and,
Yes. So I'm hoping that I get to meet Maynard here pretty soon. Speaking of,
which would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very odd person. I worked with him.
You did, yes.
Yeah.
So ironically, we just did a Music Unraveled podcast about him, where we just talked about some of his work for a couple hours. But I'm a big fan of Maynard and most of the stuff that he's done, but especially Tool. And I got to see Tool for the first time in concert. So I got into him like when I was getting out of high school, and that's when their last album came out. And like A Perfect Circle's last album came out before that, if I'm not mistaken, because it's He's like 13. So, but A Perfect Circle's got a new album coming out, and Tool's supposed to drop one too. And I never got super into Pussifer, but the guy that I had on the podcast had been to a Pussifer concert and was telling me it was super crazy.
I forgot about that band.
Yeah. What movie were you in? Was Maynard in?
Crank 2. I guess he might have been friends with the directors who are psychopaths.
Super interesting. Who directed Crank 2?
Brian Neveldine and Mark Taylor. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian Taylor.
Brian Taylor.
Mark Neveldine.
Mark Neveldine. Those guys are insane. Never worked with anybody like that. They really had license to do whatever they wanted. I remember the one time Mark Neveldine showed up on acid, literally, and he was wearing a sombrero. Poncho.
Huh.
He didn't appear to have pants on. Really short. You could see his legs, and it was unbelievable.
Wow. Was he like, come on, acid? Not really. No. Just obvious.
Well, no, that was like the rumor going around, and it was obvious something.
I mean, there was that one guy that pitched a no-hitter on acid. So David Carradine was in that movie? Mm-hmm. You telling me that?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me?
No.
I'm sitting here looking at it. David Carradine.
That was his last film, I think.
Wow.
Before his...
The incident.
Yeah.
We won't talk about it.
No, it's rough. It's rough. You guys can look that up on your own time.
Yeah, Jason Statham. I was a fan of his films. I feel like he could... I don't know.
He's awesome.
Needs to do fewer sequels.
Yeah.
Like I was into the first Transporter, and I liked him in Snatch. I watched Snatch the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of good films. Italian Job, of course. But Amy Smart, man, I didn't know that many good people were in Crank. Is this the sequel, High Voltage?
Yep.
Or is that okay?
It's the sequel.
Cool. Corey Haim. Really?
Yeah.
You met Corey Haim?
I don't think I met him.
Wow. So did you meet David Carradine?
Hey, yeah. How's it going?
Well, you gave Ed Harris a stick of gum. I mean...
Yeah, that's a fact.
It's real.
Yeah. I felt so good at that moment, like validated,
You knew why you carried gum at that moment.
He asked me, it's like, yeah, I can do that. I can help you out with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wintergreen.
Well, that's I didn't know that this movie had such a all-star little cast in it. I might because I watched the first one, but like I want to say I didn't complete watching it. So
yeah, that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Pretty stupid.
Dwight Yoakam, I believe he's from Arkansas. He was
that's true, yeah.
He was in
I think that's true.
Sling Blade.
Right. Well, he's from Arkansas too, isn't he? Billy Bob?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Second time we brought him up.
Yeah, look at that.
Everybody's connected.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well...
It's the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon thing.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
6 degrees, 7 degrees. I've heard it called
Something
different
like
things.
that,
But yeah, definitely. Kevin Bacon.
Everyone's attached to Kevin Bacon somehow.
Wouldn't it be cool to... I mean, I don't know if it'd be cool or not, but like somebody's like you're a cultural thing like that. Like, it's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Everybody knows that it's Kevin Bacon. It's not... William H. Macy. It's Kevin Bacon. Like, for some reason, it became Kevin Bacon.
It's a high honor.
Yeah. So, after you did, what was it? Crank with Maynard. That was cool. Did you talk to him at all? Not really?
Man, I don't think so.
What would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm just going to be like...
He has an intimidating presence.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, he's one of the most creative individuals of our time.
Oh.
I mean, artistically, I mean, he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu under Rickson Gracie.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you think he was training at that time? That was 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He probably wasn't training with Rickson because Rickson wasn't in the United States in that time, I don't believe. I think he was training with Hoyler and... probably Henry Akins and some people like that. But see, Jack, who I just had in, I don't know if you saw him when he was in town, but no. Michael and I did a private lesson with him the day after the seminar and everything, and he was in for a few days, and we got to hang out. He was on the podcast. But Jack was having lunch with Rickson just a couple of days before he came out to do the seminars, done privates with Rickson recently, and trained a lot with Rickson over the last 2 or 3 years, and he said, like, he knows a guy that is done private lessons with Maynard and stuff. So that's he's kind of plugged in with all those guys. And in the new A Perfect Circle, like, photo shoots and stuff, Maynard's wearing a Hicks and Gracie hat.
Represent.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I know. So you know about the fan incident where Maynard throws that guy and then, like, gets on his back and chokes him, like, keeps him in rear mount, just like classic Hicks and Gracie stuff going on right there in terms of those techniques.
I can't recall who told me that, but somebody did tell me that. Maybe it was you.
Maybe.
The fan
incident.
was not pleased?
Well, they, like, came up and then Maynard's like, oh, give me a hug, and then throws him and is just, like, riding on him. Yeah, it's wild.
And that happened in front of all these people at the show?
Yeah, and then he never skipped a note singing.
He was singing while it happened?
The whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I mean, you want me to throw it up on the TV?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I will.
Can we do that?
Yeah, it'll come to our headphones. It won't record. Since you've never seen it, I'm not going to throw it up on the... I'm not editing this in. Just letting you know.
I don't know what it is about the Hickson guy, and you know I don't fight, obviously, because...
I'm just saying, bro, look into it. Hickson is so...
no, what I'm going to say is that is, for some reason, all the mysteries I've heard about him, like, he's the top, he's got the coral belt now. I don't know why that's so appealing.
Which he won't even accept, man. He won't wear it.
Oh, I didn't
he says
know that.
He's not old enough.
See? So he's a humble man, too. But that's really cool that... he's like a legend for people that aren't even a fighter. I don't even know.
He's like Kevin Bacon of martial arts.
Right.
I mean, he's one of those. He's a great person of our time.
Well, he's connected too, probably. Oh, look at this!
This is actually a Joe Rogan clip. Ironically, I'm trying to see if I can find. He's singing "Push It." Here's a actual video of it. So
wow.
It looks like we're doing Parable 46 and 2. Parable 46 and 2 is the YouTube page if anybody wants to look it up. Maynard fan incident. So they're singing Push It at a Tool concert. This dude's about to hop up on stage. Dude, this is back when Maynard still had good hips and could get down. He won't even show himself. Look at him standing front stage. That's probably why he won't. So people run up there, nice little hip toss. The guy goes belly down. Then he sets the hooks. He's going to roll him over. Look, he's still singing, dude.
Oh, man. Is that the fan?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, raising his hand.
He thinks it's an honor, right?
Probably is. He's probably got a fear boner right now.
Wow. Is he applying pressure to...
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he brought him in and out of consciousness multiple times. It's not like the guy can tap. I wonder if choking someone's like attempted murder at wherever he's playing at.
That's the thing. Why isn't somebody getting up there being like, hey, that's security?
Yeah. Did someone else just try and come on the stage? Yeah. Yeah, he's still on top of that dude.
Wow. What did he say?
I don't know. I've like heard him comment on this on like Joe Rogan about like he's like about how it was like nice to like just dominate that dude in front of all those people.
Yeah. Sends a lot of dopamine down the...
Yeah. So anyway,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So then you got to work on Rob Zombie. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
What? That's got to be personality.
You know what? I don't have a lot of nice things to say about him. Although, when his wife was not on set...
What's her name?
Sherry Moon Zombie. Sherry Moon Zombie. He's a kind person until she gets on set. And then he becomes a tyrant in order to show his wife, like, Daddy's...
He's serious.
Yes.
Serious. He is to be taken serious as a film director.
Well, I don't know. I was on so many.
Why
drugs
does everybody
that time.
think that they can reset the Halloween genre?
Well, people love his films. I mean, they're cult
Yeah, they are
films.
kinda cult
I
films.
thought that they really all of his films stink, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not.
I actually got fired from one of his films too,
Which one?
which stopped my film career for a couple of years.
Oh,
A couple of years, just done.
well, yeah. Did you piss his wife off?
No, I just couldn't do my job properly because I was a drug addict.
So, how much do you think that was a product of your environment? Like you growing up in Hollywood as a kid? Like, I mean,
I didn't grow up in Hollywood as a kid. I lived 6 hours away, but I would.
yeah, I know. You and Elijah both.
Oh,
Frodo Baggins.
yeah.
By the way, I saw Black Panther last night.
Yeah.
And Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit, from those movies. I forget his name. He's also in the Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
He's in that.
What's his
And
name?
also,
Martin.
the dude that plays Smeagol and Gollum is in it too.
Really?
Two for one, right there.
Wow.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings universe.
I can't remember his name. Martin something.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Love him. He's a great actor.
Dude, Black Panther was really good. I'm gonna try and do a podcast about it and do a little reviewage.
Yeah. You know what? Superhero films, I don't know.
You know, into them. It's like
not
probably
that. I'm
it's
just-
probably like my
come
favorite
on.
Marvel film. I actually really liked.
That's
It's
what I
not
hear.
Marvel, but DC's Wonder Woman. I was into that.
Well, see, the Batman stuff, when Nolan was doing them, wow. That's...
Yeah, totally. Those three
That's-
Batmans were awesome.
Well, those are like on the Academy Award winning
yeah
level, in my opinion.
Christian Bale, Heath Ledger's Joker. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Well,
Yeah.
Bane. I
And
mean,
then you're gonna
that's-
follow that shit up with Ben Affleck.
Yeah. Well, I don't have good things to say about that movie. Although I would like to see it again. Because, you know, sometimes when you have an opinion of a movie before you see it, sometimes it kind of mucks things up.
Yeah.
So that maybe was what was going on there. Because I know Michael Lassiter, shout out.
Yeah. We
Loves
got to
it.
have him on to talk about crisis actors.
About what?
Crisis actors,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah. See, I don't know a lot about that. I steer clear from all the rabbit holes because I'll
We are in a rabbit hole. Yeah.
You and him?
hmm
Or us?
He and I.
Yeah. Will you go dive?
We do, man.
Into
We are
them.
always talking about crazy stuff. He turned me on to this crazy video of them. I'm not going to get into it, but this crazy cult goat man dance at this tunnel in Europe.
Oh, I know all about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wacky stuff.
It's neither here nor there. But
Yep.
anyway. Well, yeah, man. So what? So you got out of you were in the film business for how many years? You're kind of doing film on like look at different level, but you're still involved in, like, I would say, the film business. You're doing film is kind of an entrepreneurship.
You mean now?
Yeah. Like, what's your,
What am I doing currently?
Yeah, it's some, like, how long were you in the film business? Like, when did you wrap it up in California? Because at some point you moved here to town,
Yeah.
where we have joined forces for a limited run Marvel team up,
That's true.
and now here we are on the podcast,
Here we are.
and you're not in Hollywood.
Well, I thought when I move from Hollywood, I'm not going to be able to be in the film business anymore. So, goodbye film business, and that's been 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought it'd been longer than that.
Well, no. I mean, I was working in the industry until like almost the day I left to come here, which helped pay for the trip to come out.
Nice. Yeah.
So now we make little commercials for small businesses, small business owners.
Yeah, you guys do a great job too. You want to give a little plug? You guys have a website or social media or anything?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Macromedia, I believe it's just macromedia479.com. Facebook handle is the same thing, Macromedia479. Shout out, holler at your boy. No, I don't know. I'm not, you know what, the business stuff, come look at our
You're
stuff.
a worker.
Yeah, I'm a worker.
You are, dude. You guys do a great job. You've
I need
done
a PR
work
guy.
for us, and it was super high quality. People can check out on our YouTube and our website. We use the videos for both. So
That's very kind.
yeah, but Yeah. Well, man. Anything we haven't talked about? Anything crazy? No, I mean we can go for 3 hours, bro.
Yeah.
But unless you want to go off on a bit about crisis actors.
Well, we didn't get to get into Nash Bridges as much as I wanted to.
Oh yeah. So okay. So Nash Bridges.
I'm kidding.
So you do. As soon as you told me Nash Bridges, I was like...
I didn't tell you that. You came in. You were creeping. That's the
You
term.
told me, you said, hey, by the way, Brian, we've been friends for a while. I wanted to let you know that my mom was in these Robin Williams movies in the Nash Bridges years.
That actually is true.
But like the first thing I asked you, I was like, hey, wait. Did you get to meet Cheech Marin?
Oh, wow.
So you did like several times, I'm sure, right?
No, actually, I never met him.
Just got to be around him? Didn't really hang out with him?
One time. There was I can't even remember how old I was. Probably 13 to 15 years old. And there was a family picnic.
Nash Bridges family?
Yeah.
Who was the guy that put what's the guy's name that played Nash Bridges?
Don Johnson.
Don Johnson.
Yeah, Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
So never got to meet Cheech.
Yeah. Super legit though. I'm sure. Did your mom get to meet him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was on set with him.
And my mom is
connected.
Yeah, well, she's a wacky personality, so you can't miss her.
Yeah, no, that's got to be cool. Getting to be around some of those people. I know it's but past a certain point, I'll say this: like when I've been owning a martial arts school for several years now, and like when I was first, and I mean too, it's super surreal to be around Hickson, but it's like if I was around him again, it would be less surreal, but still is equally mind blowing. But like I wouldn't be like,
yeah.
You know, I mean that's like so. But it's like I've been to like Worlds and I've been to UFCs and fan expos and all of these places where I've stood like shoulder to shoulder or hung out with these people in the industry that are like at the top. And past a certain point, it's just like, oh, you know, we're all the same. We're just all people.
There it is.
Yeah.
Just human beings.
So no need to get any fear boners.
That's right.
Yeah.
Put it very eloquently, yeah.
Yeah. Well, right on, dude. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. You need to come back and do a movie review with me or a show review.
Man, let's do it.
You're always quoting shows, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, come on.
And you're like, it's Goodfellas. How could you not know?
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Well, that was painful that you didn't know that because
there's a lot of voiceover in that movie.
That's that scene, you know.
Hey, you know, I did drop a really good Bronx Tale quote on Michael the other day. I was talking about how
the
like
door locks?
No. I was talking about how if you do this certain move, there's something called a whizzer in jiu-jitsu. It's where like you trap somebody's arm, and like they can get their arm out like past a certain point, but like we're doing this thing where like you kind of, for anyone that does jiu-jitsu, we were going from half guard and stepping over to the far side and getting the truck, and past a certain point they can't, if they don't let go of their arm, if they're stubborn and don't let go of their arm, they can't let go of their arm. So I did this move to him, and I was explaining it to him, and like I got it, and I'm like, okay, hey, this is it. I showed it to him, and then I got him over, and then I was like, now you can't leave. The bar scene.
Oh yeah, with the bikers.
Yeah, like they start break up the bar, and they start like squirting the beer all over everything, and he locks the doors, and he's like, now you can't leave.
That's good.
Yeah, man. Chaz Palminteri.
Well done.
Yeah, well, okay. So can I redeem myself with that quote for the Goodfellas?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take it.
You freaking...
But that's a great
Kingpin,
scene.
Man.
That's one of the best scenes in that film. How you forget it. Billy Bats.
Yeah.
I didn't insult that.
I need to watch it. I've seen Goodfellas half a dozen times over like the last 10 years.
It's dark. But
you don't even like Departed, dude. I can't.
No, that's not true.
It's one of the best.
That's not true. I didn't say I didn't like it.
It's one of the best.
I said I like Goodfellas better. Because it's better. Yeah. Look, the other one's much darker. The Departed. It's just... it's darker. Man, I mean, the poor Leo. It's like he doesn't even want to be here. He's like indoctrinated into this.
The man. I really enjoy his work. Some people say he's over dramatic, but
no, he's phenomenal.
Did you watch Westworld?
Yeah, I did.
Crazy.
I won't watch it again.
What about season 2?
No, done.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's just too much for me.
Dude, it's over the top. The multiple timelines and the crazy robot, dirty people with the robots.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like
it's a sick thing, man.
You know what? We didn't talk about this, but Hollywood just pushes that in the faces of not just young people, everyone.
Speaking of Hollywood and Corey Haim, I'm not gonna ask you anything crazy questions because I know there's some things that we and rightfully so, chose not to talk about ahead of time. But I mean, the stuff that's going on about Hollywood right now in the media, what would you say about that? Like, what's going on versus what people are saying what's going on? Is it worse? And then like the whole, and again, you don't have to get into this, but like the whole thing with like the kids getting like essentially trafficked among these higher profile, I mean, it's kind of like I said, conspiracy theory maybe, but like young kids like Corey Haim or whoever else.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory.
Well, what would you say about all that?
Well, I don't have too much insight into it, but I wasn't surprised hearing about Harvey Weinstein, not at all, because...
Did you ever meet that guy?
No. No, I didn't.
Did you ever watch him take a shower?
Oh, well, no.
Yeah, that's why you weren't in any of his films.
I thought it was really interesting that Jerry Seinfeld had an interview recently, and she brought that stuff up. Louis C.K.'s a friend of yours, and he brought that up, but Jerry thought it's just so bizarre, and I totally agree with him that what kind of a weird thing is that? Who wants somebody to watch them take a shower? That's what you're going to pick? It's completely bizarre behavior, but I'm not surprised.
Maybe it's just like non-threatening enough, or
no, because there's so much. That person. I remember from the day almost I was in that industry. You hear nonstop about that guy. She got her part because of this. He
got slapped in a restaurant by some dude the other day. I don't know if you saw that video.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, funny.
Well, it's not surprising.
Not funny. I don't know.
There'll be a lot more people that come out under the,
Dude, what do you think about freaking? They're trying to say Dustin Hoffman, man. I was so sad about that.
Well, I don't have.
And they tried to take James Franco.
I mean, would you be surprised?
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know that world like you do. That's kind of why I'm curious.
The world. People are just wicked people. All around. You can put up a great facade, but everyone is wicked behind closed doors. It's just
there's like a lot of crazy drugs and alcohol on set with like people in the business running the camera, whoever else.
That's how it used to be, but I've heard stories. I never saw it like that. There's cocaine, everywhere in the 80s and stuff. It's not like that. I was into that, but
just not on set.
No, yeah, on set. But it seems a little bit more conservative. I think of course there are people that are doing it, but it isn't a free, like a big giant party like it was in Miami Vice era, when cocaine was being, flooding America during that time. But no, I don't really know about all that.
No.
There's drinking.
Oh, I'm sure,
and there's a lot of cursing, so...
Cigarette smoking.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Dude, that's one thing about everybody, like every biographer I've read on LBJ said he was like drinking and smoking cigarettes and eating all the time, just like always consuming. So, just keeping himself going.
It's gross.
At a certain point, he ended up having a heart attack before he was ever even vice president. And then he became vice president, then he became president. And he died, I think, in 1973. Don't quote me on that. Like earlier 70s, 72, 73. So, but let's say he would have, I think it was after he would have been out, so it could have been 73 or 74. But let's say he would have ran for re-election in 68, which he didn't, and he could have. He decided not to.
That's a conspiracy theory thing?
No. That's fact. So, like, JFK gets assassinated. He finishes out that term as president, gets reelected in 64, but the Vietnam just tanks the Vietnam War, tanks the presidency. So in 68, America is so bad socially in terms of civil rights and internationally in terms of the Vietnam War, that he just doesn't run for re-election. Too much controversy, too much drama. It's just a crazy year. 50 years ago. But yeah, but he was constantly just living it. Like there's a lot of like why I mentioned this earlier when we first started talking, a lot of parallels between I'm sure Washington D.C. and like the lifestyle that's going on with all these politicians that are, you know, have offices in D.C. and, you know, I mean, you kind of get a little bit of that, I think, insight into that on House of Cards, like these senators, which will no longer be a thing, I guess. I guess they're doing one more season, but there's not going to be Kevin Spacey.
Into Pizzagate and stuff like that?
Yeah, no Pizzagate.
But that's where you're going. I mean, that's where it evolves to. That's where, right?
You know, I mean, like, we might as well just say Pizzagate.
Pizzagate!
So has that been debunked?
What?
Was Pizzagate debunked?
Well, how? Debunked?
Like the actual story of that pizza
Come
place.
on. No, I don't know, honestly, but
I looked pretty heavily into it. There is some substantiation to these Washington D.C. politicians, senators, and people. Not to get into any particular people in D.C. and even in L.A. that were arrested in 2017, like hundreds of people, either attached to. But it wasn't all politicians. It wasn't all, but it was people connected with what was going on with them. You know,
yeah.
rings of people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like I don't know if it's like pockets, like the Sandusky thing, you know, where that's going on, or if it's all interconnected. There's this crazy documentary. I brought it up the other day. It's I forget where I heard about it for the first time. It's called Conspiracy of Silence. I wouldn't tell anybody to watch it, but I do keep bringing it up, so you can watch it if you want. But it's about the same stuff, man. Just crazy. So, like, that's just like a shared, and I mean, it's like, I'm sure it's this way all throughout time, and I mean, it's just people raising awareness to it, but like human trafficking, pedophilia, or like child molestation, whatever you want to call it, is going on in DC, in our you know, political ranks. It's going on in Hollywood. And people are talking about it all over the place. Mm-hmm. That's been like one of the major themes. That's what Michael and I are going to get into.
Well, I think it's an important topic, and I think that what Elijah Wood brought up should be chilling to people, you know. Yeah. And his testimony is basically, you know, I thank the Lord for his mom, the way she wanted to raise him, even though any parent that wants to raise their children up in that industry, it's questionable. It's weird, you know. It's like this is a time to be, you know, guarding and just, I guess, preparing a child, not doing that. Hey, he'll throw you to the wolves, you know, before you even. It's just crazy. But anyway, she did not allow him to go to these parties and stuff, which came out of his mouth. Like, my mom didn't want me to do that because she knew this is how it's going to be. And you heard Corey Haim's testimony. I mean, or was it Feldman? They get passed around. That's not a conspiracy theory. I mean, that's how it works. It's awful, you know, and Elijah was in that industry from the time that he was a small kid.
Yeah.
The good son. I mean, he's so young.
North.
So he was exposed to that stuff. And if you're gonna be a star effer, you know, one of those people, then you're gonna be exposed to all kinds of horrible stuff. It's horrible. Really, I know that industry is. So there's going to be, like I said earlier, there's going to be so much that gets uncovered.
Let me ask you this: so like there's all these conspiracy theorists that say the reason that these older men or whoever it is. I've been telling people a story about this crazy lady that would kidnap these Mormon men and like chloroform them and like chain them up and rape them. And they couldn't believe that a woman would do that to a guy, so they wouldn't prosecute her. Maybe it's a fake story, but I read about it multiple places and I was like, what? But but the reasoning behind like some of these people going after these kids is because they have this special type of energy and all of this like crazy occult like stuff.
Sure.
And you see that historically speaking, where that's kind of a little bit of a trend for even in some ancient cultures.
100%.
Did you see any of that? Did you hear about any of that? Is that like, do you know that that's people's reasoning? Where is that coming from? Like, what do you think?
I didn't see any of that.
Any chatter? Any dark chatter?
Dark chatter. I mean, look, I was talking with somebody last night about something that's published in an Aleister Crowley book.
Oh, I've been talking about Aleister Crowley quite a bit.
Well, I mean, you have to if you're into this kind of stuff. Innocent lives are what people want. There's the most power involved there with these innocent babies is what you really want. But I guess, and I don't have too much insight here, but it's there. It's in his books, and it goes back all the way into biblical times with.
Well, see, he studied like crazy in Egypt. Aleister Crowley. So did Plato.
Well, I mean, they're all worshiping to the same god, Moloch, Shamash. Where they would literally put children, their crying babies, on the arms of a.
So speaking of Moloch,
oh boy,
Bohemian Grove.
Oh.
What do you think about that?
Man, I tell you.
Speaking of babies.
When I was into that, I was big into.
Did you ever go there? San Francisco, right?
That was Sonoma County somewhere.
Yeah, so where'd you say your mom and dad are from?
They live in, well, not from there, but we live in Benicia. That's where I was raised. It's about 30 minutes north of San Francisco. Close to Napa, 30 minutes away. Napa's a little more north. But the Bohemian Grove is up towards, I believe it's in Sonoma County, which is very close to where I'm from.
Crazy. There is an owl carved into a tree, apparently. Moloch.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I knew that they had that. I didn't know.
I mean, I'm gonna put. I mean, this could be a fake picture, but we'll pull it up here.
Well, I know that when Alex Jones.
Yeah, he did that documentary.
Yeah, I mean, that was chilling, man. Chilling.
So some people deny that video, or documentary, or whatever is real. What do you think?
I think it's real.
Oh yeah, me too.
And I'm not surprised because I know that the elite powers that be are involved in all kinds of occult powers and all this kind of garbage.
Yeah, there is some sort of a dark element there. I mean, like everybody kind of hears about it, and it's crazy to think about. But I mean, what blows my mind too is like the amount of politicians that have allegedly been filmed at these. Yeah. So like here's a picture of. So just Google Moloch Owl San Francisco. I don't think that's going to pull up a bigger image, but yeah. Somebody told me it's a redwood, but it looks like that it's carved out of a redwood, but it looks like stone. I don't know what it is, but it looks like an owl. It looks like a crazy bird. It looks like more of a falcon to me.
Well, whatever
like
it is.
Like a sort of a crazy beak.
Yeah. Well, and then they burn an effigy.
They have these robes. Yeah. I mean, it's very occult-like, just like we kind of mentioned that crazy, was it Switzerland?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I'm going to just type in Switzerland Tunnel Goat Man.
I think that's right.
Oh, yeah, dude. Freaking me out. What the hell is that? New tunnel unveiled in bizarre demonstration.
It was bizarre.
Oh, it was super bizarre, dude.
Yeah,
I was freaking out. Yeah. I watched the whole thing. Michael told me about it one morning. Crazy goat man. What is it, Bamotep? Bamotep, something like that.
What do you mean?
The name of the goat character.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, it has a name. I think it's, let me double check. I believe it's Bamotep.
That's bizarre.
Yeah. It's got a weird spelling. I think Bamotef. Yeah. Anyway, crazy goat man. Satan goat man.
It's no good, man.
It freaks me out. It's definitely, but it's like, I mean, anything that any part of life has the dark element associated with it. People talk about the dark side of the force and give analogies, or yin and yang. It's like any culture you study kind of has a way of describing it. It's like day and night, man. It's just there. It's like crazier stuff happens at night. It seems like a lot of stuff you never see in the day stirs, crime's higher, animals you never see in the day come out and move around. It's just, it's a lot more chilling. You've been out like in the dark alone at night, like out, like driving on the interstate on 40 like going to Vegas or something. It's desolate.
Yeah.
No cars in sight. And it's interesting how it's different, this totally different feel it gives you than during the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Well, once again, dude, thanks for coming on. Macromedia Productions. If you need any video work done,
give us a call.
Uncle Jerry.
Yeah, that's
Shout out.
The nickname that you've given me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's super cool to me.
Yeah.
It's not the only reason we're friends.
I hope not.
I was friends with you before I found out about Jerry.
Yeah.
I was mind blown when I found out. I was like, "You kidding me?"
And then the Nash Bridge is.
Yeah, that's just the icing on the cake, man. Icing. Cheech. All right, dude. Well, we're going to get signed off. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
Mm-hmm. We done?
Oh, we're done.
That's fun.